thank you everybody for hearing this item last in the day. So I am Elsa Lamb. I edit Canadian Architect magazine. I'm an honorary member of the Ontario Association of Architects and a fellow with the Royal Architectural Institute of Canada, and have been following very closely the Ontario Science Centre issue and very much appreciate the staff report that's being seen today, as well as Josh Matlow's motion that led to it and the follow-up motion that's being advanced today. And I wanted to take the opportunity to just present some facts that I've uncovered in my research about the Science Centre that I hope will help the city and staff as it proceeds in this process of handling this valuable asset for Torontonians and for Ontarians. And there's 4 things that I want to discuss today. They're on the screen. I want to talk about what the real cost of repairing what the Science Centre is, which is much less than what the province is saying. I want to talk about how the repairs can be staged and how there's a manufactured crisis going on here. I want to talk about the idea of operating the Science Centre within Building C in order to maintain programming and minimize the short-term repair costs. And I also want to debunk this myth that keeps on coming out from the Ontario government that the buildings need to be closed and vacated for repairs, which is simply not the case. So this is the latest slide from the Ontario government. For those of you who were following their press conference last Thursday, it was one of their slides in their deck, and it kind of points to some of these things that I'm going to attempt to debunk today. The $500 million cost that they keep on citing as the cost for repairing the Science Centre, the idea that there's significant issues that have developed that are not included in that cost, and again, in bold at the bottom, the idea that all 3 buildings would need to be vacant to undertake critical repairs. The true cost of repairing the Science Centre, looking at Infrastructure Ontario's own documents, which I know that your city staff have done in their report, but your city staff have also acknowledged that they lack the resources to go deeper in this analysis, so I hope that this helps them with that work or assists in the next step of that work. So if you look at the Pynchon report, which is part of the business case for relocating the Ontario Science Centre from its current location to Ontario Place, there is a detailed kind of cost breakdown of the costs that were involved. The total, if you add up all of these costs that are listed here, is $228 million. So if you're following me, this is significantly less than the $500 million that the province is talking about. And this estimate includes, I went through the big Excel spreadsheet that they offered as an appendix here. This estimate includes $32 million towards roof repair, $11 million towards repairing the bridge, $33 million towards the heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems, and $25 million towards upgrades of the interior finishes. So many of these things that they're saying are extras to their cost are in fact already covered within this cost estimate that they themselves commissioned back a couple of years ago. This also includes a very generous markup factor for consultants of 185%. So I'm not sure what the city's general markup for consultants is, but from the consultants I've been speaking to and the projects I've been familiar with, this is very large. So if you kind of work the math backwards, the base construction cost for doing all of those repairs that are listed in this document is actually $142 million. I also want to talk now about the urgency of the repairs, and I think that there's some significant ambiguities in the Pynchon report that require some further investigation and at least some questioning about whether the numbers we're seeing and the timelines that we're seeing are in fact correct. And the expenses in this report, there's a kind of summary table of what's required in the first 5 years. They're really concentrated within the first 3 years. We know, and so that kind of already off the bat creates a kind of, maybe a sense of urgency about these repairs. We already know from the way that the province has presented the urgency of the roof repairs that there was a false sense of urgency created about that. And the latest repairs that they've also pointed to on last Thursday with the heating and so on, from the preliminary research I've done on those, they also seem to be a false kind of urgency about those. So we have reason to be skeptical about this. I would contend we have further reason to be skeptical about this kind of layout of how things are detailed in this report. And this is part of the back and forth that happens, as you know, between consultants and clients, that a consultant might put something in 1 year and the client says, oh, could you just move it a little forward? Maybe we'll take care of that earlier. Can you move it to year 1 instead of year 6? And the result of moving all these things to the first 2 years is that it comes out the Science Centre comes out with a facility condition index of a grade C, which indicates normal deterioration and minor distress and repairs needed in the next 5 years. So it's not a failing grade by any stretch of the imagination. But there's another part in the same sentence, actually, of the consultant document that actually correlates with actually receiving a grade B, which actually says that no repairs are anticipated within the next 5 years.
Sorry to interrupt you, unless someone move a motion, but your 5 minutes is more than up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We want to summarize it.
Okay.
And give us your presentation, which we could read.
Okay, I will give you this presentation. You can look at my arguments for using Building C as a temporary science center with the government's own numbers of how that would be cost far more than using the Building C. And also, I just want to end with this slide in 2 seconds. These are some major renovations that were completed without fully closing the buildings. We repaired every inch of Toronto Reference Library. We constructed an entire floor under Union Station while all of the trains were running. And we repaired the atrium of Eden Centre next door, the entire glass atrium without closing that shopping center for a single day. And the Ontario government has presented no evidence that it would have to vacate these buildings to undertake critical repairs. So I'll leave it at that.